Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
I am your guest.
Good morning.
For the next couple of hours.
And Gal is here with us.
Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon to you. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So,
before we get into anything,
yeah,
I had a cool opportunity yesterday, Friday, to interview. We had a big fundraiser down here. And I had the pleasure to interview Dr. Alveda King, who is Martin Luther King's niece.
Mm-hmm.
So check that out. I thought that was a cool picture, cool photo, and a very, very cool interview. Very interesting. I'm used, obviously, I talk for a living, but I sit in a padded room by myself with a straitjacket and talk. I'm not used to doing it in front of a group, so it was interesting. A very, very cool opportunity. She was very gracious and a really, really cool interview.
What was the event?
It was our the GOPs do this kind of around the country. They call them the Lincoln Reagan Douglas dinner. It's just a big like gala, big fun. It's typically the big fundraiser that a GOP will do. They do them all over the state, or really all over the country. It's kind of a
fundraiser.
A couple of big keynotes. Yeah, big fundraiser.
But it's not boring.
No, ours was not boring. We had a comedian that did some stand-up to start it off. He was funny. He was an Indian guy. He was super funny. He's like, I grew up and I was a liberal and a Democrat. Then I got my first paycheck and I said, "Make America great again." So he was very funny. Played the crowd very well. Made some fun. It was like, man, look out at this room. A lot of white people in this room. It was very, he played it very well. It was, he was very funny. He's America's Got Talent, Osama Sadiki or something like that was his name. He was super funny. So yeah, it was a good event.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Gal, do you have any announcements?
Announcement.
Well,
I am a grandfather a second time.
Yes.
Hey.
Yes. Wednesday was the date of the birth, and the baby, he is as cute as hell. We don't get a name until the birth, so we're waiting on that, which will be Wednesday. And mom is doing well. Baby is doing excellent. His now big sister at 2.5 is going to need to adjust to a new reality.
Yep.
And I must say that it is fantastic watching it as a grandparent. It is terrifying as hell for the parents to watch this happening in front of their eyes. So there's that. Meeting family after not seeing them in person for a long time is always nice. So this is definitely the highlight. And And there's going to be this big event soon where everybody's going to be in the same room. So it's also going to be really, really fun.
Explain the name process. Why do you wait to do the name? Is that
it's tradition. It's tradition. Yeah. I think it's similar with christening, right? There's the christening is where the name is being set.
You get your well,
I might be off.
It's been a long time. You get a. It's been so long since I've been to a christening. No, I mean you get your name at birth, and you get your godparents at your christening. So let me ask you this: what does the birth certificate say?
Yeah, I was just wondering the same.
Oh, then you are completely right. Now that I'm thinking of it, I have not asked, but you get to set the name on the birth certificate when you are discharged from the hospital, which they have not done yet. So they have time until that. I mean, they might have officially chosen something, but they haven't disclosed it, at least not with us, with my wife and me.
Or with anybody else.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody has revealed the secret yet. But it's part of tradition to like keep it close to heart until the birth visit, which is usually 8 days after the birth. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we are in preparation and celebration mode.
And for those who are wondering, Gal is in Israel.
Yes, it is now 4:26 p.m. over here. I am in beautiful Haifa, which is on the shore, and I'm literally on a building that is on the shore. I think, yeah, I've been on the show from here before, but this time I'm not from a room. I'm from the living room, and so in the background you see my parents' bookcase and some pictures of painting. Actually, this picture over here is a very old picture of my mom. So she's the subject of the picture. So she's painted there, holding a dark-skinned baby. This was done back in Africa when we lived there. I was between the ages of 2 and 6, so that was a long time ago.
It's a nice set. It looks very very photogenic.
Yeah. I mean, the house is very, my parents are the artsy kind. My mom has been a teacher and study of art history her entire life. My dad is an architect. So they're both retired now. My mom's go-to task right now are community-driven events, selling secondhand clothes and stuff like that. And she but she works with the community television over here, which is community television is
PBS.
Think about local cable, like a local channel that you can receive on cable and is run by the community. In this case, specifically, Haifa community, and I think also it has to do with senior citizens running that.
So cable access. Yeah.
So it's definitely cable access stuff. Of course, today there's web, so everything's also uploaded. I think they have a YouTube channel that they upload things to. But yeah, community channel.
Gal Allen is asking if Israel is on summertime because the UK changed it today.
Yes, we switched the clocks the day before yesterday, I think. Yeah.
It's about the same time.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm over here. seems like the latency isn't that horrible, so we're good.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So let's jump right in, and first let's talk about Nix. Or maybe we'll wait with Nix until Jason shows up.
Well, I mean, we're not going to do troubleshooting on the air, so.
All right, so let's go with the problem that you had last
All right.
week, and still.
Yeah. So, and I will admit, I have been very busy this past week, so I've had some time to delve into it. But I want to be clear, I haven't sat here for hours trying to troubleshoot. I've been so damn busy. So, middle of the week, I obviously get up early for work. I noticed an email. I got what is it called? A Pulse Wave, which is kind of a management app that you've probably seen it advertised on YouTube. It's for like system administrators to roll out stuff. I've got it running on my Windows 10 VM just because it's cool and it sends you alerts and stuff like that. Set it up eons ago and kind of have ignored it since. So I woke up Tuesday, or I guess it was Tuesday or Wednesday morning, to a pulse wave alert that my Windows 10 VM was offline. Okay, didn't think much of it. Not really a problem. It's a Windows 10 VM. It's headless. I don't really use it. It's crashed from time to time. It's Windows at the end of the day. So not the craziest thing in the world. So I go to work, do my thing, come home, and I've got a screen in my office here that looks at Home Assistant. It's a Raspberry Pi 1, actually, the first generation Raspberry Pi, running the Raspberry OS, and it just has a web page loaded up, and it looks at Home Assistant, the dashboard. And that was showing me a Chrome error that the web page could not be reached, which also runs on the same hypervisor that the Windows 10 VM does. Okay, so now we've got a problem. My Windows 10 VM isn't up, my Home Assistant isn't up, my Linux server's down as well. So I can't reach my VM host via the IP address, so I unplugged it and plugged it back in. Now, I don't have a screen attached to it, so gave it a couple minutes, nothing, didn't reboot, still couldn't ping it. So I pull it out of the closet and set it up behind me and attach a screen to it, and I am getting a boot error. Cannot read sector on hard drive 1 or hard drive 2, whatever the boot drive was on the controller. Okay, kind of annoying. Maybe the boot drive is dead, but it's an SSD, so the likelihood of that, not super likely. So made a clone of the drive, started doing some playing around with some different things. It's running Proxmox, that's the host. And I'm able to boot from the live CD. They have a rescue CD as part of Proxmox. And it boots right up. No problem. It loads right in. All my data's there. All my VMs start back up. They're all running right now. They've been running for the past 2 days. No problem. But for the life of me, I cannot get the VM. I cannot get Proxmox to boot by itself. I have to boot it through the rescue CD. So I've done.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So it's Proxmox. So if I recall correctly, it's using Grub, right?
Correct. It is using Grub.
Right. And you tried running Grub update and it failed.
I did all of the once I was able to boot from the rescue CD, I was able to do all of the updates. I updated Grub. I updated Proxmox to 7.1. I did everything. I'm talking about Grub update. It's a specific command. Yes, I ran that. Yeah, so I did that. I did all of the updates that I think I was able to do, including Grub and Proxmox, updating Proxmox, thinking, okay, maybe there's something wrong with the installation. Doing an update will fix the boot partition, fix whatever could be screwed up with that. Same result. So
Okay,
I created a post on the Proxmox forum with my error, and one of the staff members got back to me and asked about doing a BIOS update. So this is a Lenovo ThinkStation something or other. So I did a BIOS update yesterday, which, by the way, Lenovo, their BIOS updates are atrocious. You literally have to create a FreeDOS bootable USB key, copy the files to it. There's no ISO that you can create. You have to create a bootable using Rufus. You have to create a bootable DOS CD key, copy the files to it. What a huge pain in the ass that is. But
show me another system. I mean, this is the best one I found yet.
No, they normally have an ISO available, and you can just burn an ISO to a flash drive. That's normally how I've done it in the past. That's how ASUS and MSI, they all do it. Now, obviously, if you're running Windows, Lenovo does make a utility that will update the BIOS from Windows. I don't run Windows on it, so that's that. Nevertheless, got the BIOS updated yesterday. Same result, and now I can't boot to the drive at all. I don't even see it as a bootable option. I've gone through, I've changed all the UEFI, I've tried secure boot on and off, legacy boot. So I don't know if it's an issue with the updated BIOS or what's going on. I might roll that back, but I can still boot from the rescue CD, and everything still runs.
Okay, so
my data is intact.
Hold on. So you boot from the rescue CD, and when you boot from the rescue CD, you choose boot from the hard drive, or
when you boot from when I have Proxmox on it's just the regular Proxmox install. It's got like 3 options: install Proxmox, install Proxmox debug, or rescue CD, or rescue boot, or whatever it's called. So I just have a Proxmox ISO burned to a flash drive, and I just select rescue CD, and it just starts. I don't know. There's no options. It just starts.
Right. But when you're running an update, right, you're running on the OS that's running from your USB.
So I thought that, but I was able to check that, and no, it is actually updating and I can see all of the drives.
So your root is mounted on the ZFS pool. Well,
it's not a ZFS pool, but everything is mounted and working correctly. Yes, that's what's so odd.
So you're running on X4, not on a ZFS pool. Sounds like all you need to do is a grab config, and for some reason that didn't work out. So
now the error I was getting was. The error I was getting is loading Linux 5.13, whatever, error, failure reading sector at some address from HD1, which was SATA port 1 on the thing, which is my SSD. So that was the error I was getting. Now I'm unable to get that error because I think this newer BIOS for some reason is not, for some reason doesn't like this drive, and I cloned it before I did anything, and it won't boot to that one either. I don't know if it's a BIOS setting now or if I just need to roll back the BIOS. Nevertheless, all of my data is still there. Everything is intact. The Proxmox install is running 7.1, the virtual environment. Everything is fine.
And you were using the computer the whole time with the rescue CD, you said you were.
It's booted from the rescue CD, but now it's all running off of the hardware and the hardware from it. I can see my 2 disks. I've got my dev SBD, which is my my hard drive, my data drive, and then I've got my dev SDA, which is my SSD, which hosts just the Proxmox and the VM information about the VMs. All the data's on the drives, and everything is there. Everything works. It's the most bizarre thing in the world.
So, I mean, obviously, we're not going to solve this on show, but I mean, I can explain what happens during the boot process and what Proxmox might be doing uniquely here, and that might point you in the right direction for a resolution. So,
please.
Proxmox is split into two. It's split into the boot environment and it's split into the storage pool. Okay, and that storage pool will contain the ISOs that you use to load the VMs, and it'll also contain the hard drive images for those VMs. Okay, now in order to load all of that, right? Every Linux system needs some sort of boot manager. That boot manager launches the kernel with a very limited kernel into what's called the init RD, the init RAM drive. And then that in change loads all of the modules that are required for the full boot, and it loads the kernel in full-blown mode and starts what's called process ID 0. Proxmox and most modern Linux systems, that's systemd that manages the entire system. So the grub bootloader that loads the init RD is failing. And when you described that you updated your BIOS and you can't do it anymore, I'm guessing your BIOS was in UEFI mode and not in legacy mode, which is good. It's okay.
It was installed in UEFI mode. Yes, sir.
Right. So once you upgraded the BIOS, one of the things that happens is that everything in the UEFI data set is probably wiped and the entry is no longer there. So the choice here is to reinstall the bootloader, basically, right? And that's what you need to do. You need to reinstall grub with its configuration. The command usually is grub-configuration or grub-config, or even grub-update or install. I don't remember which one. I always need to reference it. It's not something anyone other than the grub developers are doing on a daily basis. But so it's something along those lines. And one of the things you need to check when you're booting from the USB drive into the rescue system, that the boot pool, in this case, it will be the boot partition, is mounted to the hard drive and not to the USB. So
it is.
Yes, the root is mounted to the hard drive. That's clear because you're running your VMs and it sees everything. But we need to make sure that nothing else is mounted to the USB after the rescue system is up. So that's probably the juggling act. Now, the reason I was assuming you might be using ZFS, Proxmox knows how to use ZFS.
And if you do a fresh install, I believe today it will automatically create your data pool as ZFS, I believe.
Well, no, the default is ext4, but you can choose ZFS.
Yeah. So when I first installed Proxmox back in the 5.0 days, it did not. ZFS wasn't even an option. So I'm still running on the legacy. Yeah,
I think it's 6 and above. So, I mean, this might be an opportunity to switch to ZFS. And one of the things you can do, because you're saying that the rescue system runs and because you have a clone of the hard drive, I would say make a backup of the VMs, which Proxmox allows you to do that. Download that backup, right? And then do a fresh install. At this point, you'll have the UEFI trouble out of the way. You'll get a brand new 6, or I think it's 7 now.
Yeah, I'm running 7.1 is the latest version.
I mean, ZFS usually is strong when you have 2 drives mirroring, but you can install it on a single drive and then add the mirror later. And so you're going to get the best of both worlds by this mishap, forcing you to upgrade just in a clunky way instead of natural process, right? The built-in process. And
so your recommendation at this point would be to just do a fresh install of Proxmox?
I mean, that will definitely solve your grub issue without you needing to fight with the boot process, because you have an ability, you have storage enough to do a complete backup of the VMs. I would say that is the easiest.
Let me ask you that though. So I've got it's a 240 gig SSD that hosts Proxmox, and then I've got I believe a 4 terabyte drive or 2 terabyte drive that's the data drive.
Okay.
If I reinstall Proxmox on the SSD, I'm still going to have to reformat the data drive at some point. And that I don't have the ability to do. I don't have a place to put any of that stuff.
Okay. So yeah, that makes stuff a bit more complex. But then again, you replace the Proxmox, then you can deal with those 4 terabytes in the future. Yes, those 4 terabytes are not ZFS yet, but you can deal with that in the future, and you'll have an OS that's running. So
yeah, and it's at some point, and maybe this is the better solution. I probably do need to.
I have a different solution now that you mentioned that you have a secondary data drive.
Yeah.
Say ditch Proxmox and go with TrueNAS scale.
I mean, that's an option.
So I'm guessing you've heard in the past about FreeNAS.
Yes.
FreeNAS, an OpenBSD based system, a NAS operating system. It has since evolved, had a few incarnations. The last one was by a company that was built around it called XI Systems, if I remember the name correctly. And because everything is open source and can be forked and everything can be copied, but the names are usually somehow ingrained and registered. So they had to change the name, and from FreeNAS it became TrueNAS. And TrueNAS had a mini incarnation about 2 to 3 years ago and became TrueNAS Core. And that's the OpenBSD based system. It's not Linux, doesn't have Docker containers. It has something called jails. It doesn't have a hypervisor because it doesn't have the Linux kernel, so it doesn't have KVM. But it's a pretty decent system, and because it comes from OpenBSD, ZFS is pretty much native there. And so TrueNAS is probably the best ZFS-based solution out there for anyone, enthusiast to professionals, anyone. Now, about 2 years ago, they announced TrueNAS Scale, and they created a huge anticipation in the marketplace because TrueNAS Scale is going to be TrueNAS, but on Linux with containers and with KVM. So it's going to be, and so the speculation of whether it's going to be the best hypervisor solution out there, because it's going to be a NAS first and a hypervisor, not necessarily second, because it's going to be based on Linux KVM, which is a system that even Proxmox isn't, right? Proxmox is just making use of it. So it's sort of a Proxmox killer. But that was announced 2 years ago, and anybody who really wanted to run the system on it took a lot of risk. The beta came out and started evolving. And then in February, just around the corner, they announced the first general availability GA version of TrueNAS Scale. I've already installed it. I had a sort of crash on one of my systems, totally not even closely similar to yours. on a different system, not a Proxmox system, but I've installed TrueNAS there and been playing with it for a couple of weeks now. My systems are still down because I'm building it there, but and for now the system isn't completely ready. It is still just a standalone machine, but TrueNAS is going to have scalability built in, synchronization between multiple nodes, storage solutions, distributed storage solutions. So, and it has a KVM built in via their UI. It's all managed from the web-based UI. You do have access to the system. It's based on Debian, but it does not come with the APT, with the apt package management. So you are sort of trained to use everything from the system that they provide, which is fine by me.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, because I can still run a Debian, either a VM or a Docker container if I really want a system that's running. And because it is a container, right, then I'm getting the safety of running within one, not mucking about with other system components, etc., but still getting the resource capabilities. They actually, those containers on TrueNAS scale, they're actually running on a minified local Kubernetes cluster. Because it's just a single system right now, there's no inherent benefit of doing that. But they did create some very, very cool automation in the way things are set up. So you set up a Traffic, TRAEFIK, a Traffic container. They're called apps there.
Gal, I think you're getting into too much detail here. That is.
What I want to say is this way: those too much details when you go into setting up the system on your own
are important.
They make it an app store. Click install, set up the configuration that we recommend, and you get things set up a lot quicker than doing it on your own. And they did it in a very, very unique way. I can tell you I've been fighting these configurations for 4 years now, learning how to do it on my own. And it is a breath. It's a completely new experience and a very good one for anyone who's uninitiated. So definitely.
Let me ask you this. Let's say I do decide to go with this TrueNAS scale option. What would is there a migration that is available?
From Proxmox, no, it's nothing straightforward. There are a few concepts. First of all,
that was I would say that was the answer right there.
Yeah.
And let me say something that, if I was in Nick's place, I have a working system. It just has a little bug somewhere. I want to fix it. I don't want to build a whole new one. I don't know about you,
no,
Nick.
that's not necessarily true. I'd be open to that if there was a relatively easy process, but rebuilding those VMs is not a process that I'm willing to go through right now.
Here's the thing. What we need to evaluate, right, is what you already have. Now, about usually when it comes to a VM, right, the process of migrating that VM is all about the storage that is attached to that VM, because the definitions themselves, you can handpick them and you can create them and it works. So can you clone a VM storage like that to the storage you're going to create for a VM on a completely new KVM based system? The answer is yes. Is it a point and click? No. Right? It's possible. It's cumbersome. The reason I raise that is one of the things that you're going to get with TrueNAS, you're going to get the best ZFS solution, Linux-based. So you're going to get ZFS and you're going to get a Linux-based system managing ZFS. So you're going to get KVM and Docker containers, something that Proxmox doesn't give you. It gives you Linux containers, which Docker is a sort of Linux container, but it doesn't hook you up to the open world of Docker containers, right? And so that is why I say, if you're thinking of the option I recommended of just reinstall Proxmox and hook up all of that together, maybe it's time to investigate also TrueNAS. That's all.
Okay.
All right.
So at this point, I have got a support thread open with the folks over at Proxmox. I'm gonna play around today with. I did the BIOS update yesterday, and I didn't really have a chance to play around with it all that much. So I'll look at trying to correct whatever issues causing it not to be able to boot to that drive via UEFI, and even in legacy boot, it still doesn't boot to it either, because it is a UEFI. Yeah. It's a UEFI install.
Well, in legacy boot, can you boot from the USB?
Yeah.
And you get the entire system it's loading, right?
Correct. So wait, no, I'm sorry. The USB key is UEFI.
I think the USB key can boot both, but
I think it can. Well, you know what? And I've always booted it. I can test that because I've got it set to legacy select now. So when I go to the F12 bootloader, I see the USB key and I see legacy or UEFI, and I've been selecting UEFI. I have not tried to boot it from the legacy one yet, and I don't know if it will work.
So check that, because if your hard drive isn't what's called GPT partitioned, then you might be able to just reinstall grub legacy mode, which usually is a lot less cumbersome. If your BIOS still support legacy mode, I mean, it's not the best solution, right? But it'll definitely work. So there's that, and when researching online, just try to figure out how to reinstall grub from a rescue OS, something like that. I mean, that's the search terms I would look for.
Okay. Yeah, actually, here's a post right here: reinstalling grub/UEFI entries. So yeah. maybe
you can also do that, right, with the word Proxmox. Maybe you'll get like specific.
That's what I'm looking at, a Proxmox form right now on it. So
so I think that'll take you to the solution that you're looking for.
Oh, good. Nice. I was just wondering, yesterday we were talking about it, and I'm nowhere near the level of administration as you are, either of you. It sounded to me like the old days F-disk, where you tell the system, the drive, whether it's active or not active. And if you don't have an active drive, it will not boot from the hard drive. It has to be active, and then it boots from it. Is that kind of is that the same kind of?
Yes and no. So that's one of the reasons I asked him to check if it'll boot in legacy mode. Because if it'll boot in legacy mode, then it might just be something as simple like as that. The real question is whether the grub bootloader is loading from the hard drive or not, right?
All right. So
and one of the things that it might need to write the MBR again, stuff like that, old school stuff. You're right.
Yeah. But again, not being able to read a certain sector.
Yeah, that's just a generic error. It means nothing.
Well, it didn't used to be generic. It means there's a problem on the disk.
Yeah, but it also means it's pointing to the wrong sector or something like that.
Correct. Okay? You're right. Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's generic. It doesn't mean that the sector is gone. It usually means something moved, right? So
I was just able to reboot from legacy on the flash drive, and it is back up and running. All of my VMs are up.
Okay, so I'm guessing once you solve the grub process, look for a solution that is either start with legacy grub, right? Legacy booting with grub, because I think that'll be a lot easier to. The instructions for whatever is going on there is going to be a lot easier to follow.
So would it be accurate to say, you keep mentioning grub, but would it also be accurate to say that there's a problem with the bootloader? Isn't that what grub is?
Grub is the bootloader, yeah.
So I need to figure out, I need to repair, from what I'm understanding from you, it sounds like I might need to repair the bootloader for Proxmox.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for
now,
reinstalling.
Let me ask you this. When I did the update to Proxmox 7, would that not have repaired the bootloader? My thought is it should have. That was my original thought.
It should have reinstalled it.
That's exactly what I thought when I did the update. And that's why I was so surprised that the update didn't fix it, because it went through and completely updated Proxmox to
and when you're running in System D, you have the journal control command to look at all of the logs in the past, right? And when you're running journal control, you go to the beginning of time, or more precisely to when you installed the upgrade. Do you see any errors that grub is complaining on during the installation? That's something. It's buried in so much noise that you need to look for it.
Well, the way that I do that when I try to find it, just journal CTL type grep error, and it will only bring up the errors.
But yeah, that's a beginning. First of all, when you run journal CTL, it runs in a sort of, it's in a less view, right? So you can search there with the slash key, and you can search up and down. And
yeah.
But yeah, you got an interesting one. It is annoying when that happens. It all happened because of disk space, right? It just ran out of disk space.
No, different error from. No, I don't know what this error is.
So you don't know what triggered it to start? You have no idea?
And that's what's so odd. Is, I mean, literally just one day I came home and it's dead.
Yeah, that's bizarre. That's really rare.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my local PVE and my local LVM, which are both on the SSD. Both of them are less than 15% utilized. I mean, the drive is nowhere near full. The data drive has got a whole bunch of stuff on it, but the host itself has got as much space as possible. Yeah, and that's what I find so odd. Is it just something caused it to crash out of the blue? I hadn't done any updates on it. I hadn't been in the Proxmox UI for months. That's what's so odd about it.
Have you run memtest on the system?
Yes, I have.
And everything checks out.
Yep. Memory looks good. That's also part of. That's the fourth option in the Proxmox install. Is
some sort of hardware
is memtest. Yeah. Yep. So very odd. Very, very odd.
Indeed.
So now I feel like, and I mean, I wanted to follow what the folks at the Proxmox forum told me. They told me to do the BIOS update. Now I feel like I might be dealing with two separate issues that are unrelated. So now I'm a little uneasy as to what is my problem. Is the problem now an issue with the BIOS, or is the problem an issue with the OS? And that's...
You have an issue with the BIOS just by the fact that you can boot from a USB key. So it's not the BIOS.
Yeah.
You can rule that out. You have an updated BIOS, fine, just solve it with the new BIOS. It might be a different problem, that's true, but you still have just one problem. You can't boot the system.
It's interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
Not kind of interesting that you like.
Well, yes and no. Fortunately, so here's the thing. I'm not stressed because all of my data is there. I mean, I'm not worried about losing my data. I've got the SSD, which is more than fine, and I've got a 1 terabyte drive that I cloned, the spinning drive that I cloned the SSD to. The data drive I'm not worried about. There's no configuration on it. It's just data. So I'm not really, That's, if I couldn't boot to anything, I'd be losing my I'd be sitting here losing my shit right now. But I'm not, because I can get to everything. I'm not, and if it comes down to it, this machine hadn't been rebooted in the better part of 2 years. I mean, if it really comes down to it and I want to go to that TrueNAS system in the future, maybe I'll just put this thing back in the closet, boot it from the USB key, unplug it, and call it a day. I mean, that is a solution.
You said you haven't booted it for 2 years?
It's been close. Well, no, it's probably been, it'll be 2 years in July.
Okay.
Don't you have
so
to?
I think I know exactly what happened.
Uh-oh.
Sure.
No, I'm serious. So you remember the Linux kernel issue with the where using specifically configured pipe, something feeding the pipe with a specific payload, you can gain access right anywhere, basically, regardless of permissions, which means you can write on something that only root has access and then basically gain elevation by that way, elevation of permissions. And that is a kernel patch. And as far as I understand, that is one of the kernel patches, because it's such a high security risk, that might have forced a reboot. But if things weren't updated and only the kernel was updated in that way, it might have caused an issue upon reboot. So that is what I'm guessing. A machine that hasn't been rebooted for such a long time, now a critical update is being pushed. And I'm guessing the APT packaging system that Proxmox relies on has probably been flagged somehow to boot that system. But for some reason, there was a problem loading the kernel after the patch. And so that might be the chain of events. That's the most likely chain of events that you are experiencing. By the way, my data loss that I mentioned is very similar in context. It's just a completely different Linux system. Again, a system that hasn't been booted a lot. There, I did have memory corruption. I had a faulty memory slot. That combined with some kernel patch that probably was botched because of the faulty memory slot, combined with the reboot, rendered my system unusable. So this would have happened on a Windows machine. This would have happened on a Linux machine. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's a Linux machine. It's just some bad luck and circumstance. It's just when it's Linux, you are so closer to the little details and to affecting them that there is, at least for a while, some illusion that you can actually, change, reverse it, but it's as botched as a Windows system. So in this situation.
All right, Nick, are you ready for specials? Oh, he's not there. Shoot.
He hears us. He's ready.
Maybe he found something.
Yes, I'm ready. No, I was just shutting it back off.
Oh.
Yeah, I am ready for specials. Give me a second.
Sure.
So, been following the similar format to what we've been doing the past couple of weeks for specials. I found this funny meme. And obviously the time is a little bit different. Let's call it 20 years ago. And you can see a guy with a whole bunch of mail in his hand, and he's sitting down at his computer, and he's so excited that he got an email, which is probably pretty accurate. And then you go to now, and you've got thousands of unread emails, and you don't care about them, and you're super excited to get just a piece of legitimate mail in your mailbox. So I thought that was a a pretty interesting timepiece there. All right, so let's get into specials. Starting it off at Amazon. Boy, this is a hell of a deal.
Yeah, I've
For
seen
an
those.
18 terabyte external WD drive. 18 terabytes USB 3, and it is on sale for $299. It's normally $530 for that. So a pretty good price on that drive. That's over at Amazon. And I covered a similar drive to this last week. It was I believe it was the 12 terabyte WD NAS drive that was on special last week for close to $200. This is the 6 terabyte version, which is normally about $170. It's on sale for $99. So a pretty good price there for a 6 terabyte NAS data drive. Moving down, Gal actually sent this one forward this week in our Signal chat. I believe this is the one you sent forward, Gal.
Yeah.
This is the LG Gram 17. This is a powerhouse of a computer. It's over at Costco, so you will need, of course, a membership to purchase it. It's running an 11th gen, which is the most recent gen Intel i7 1195G7, which is a mobile chip. The display is 2560 by 1600, so a very high scale, high resolution display. It's got Windows 11 Home. It's got 2 USB 4.0 Type-Cs that support Thunderbolt 4.0, so you can do a lot of cool stuff with docks and dongles and things like that. It's a 17-inch IPS. It comes with a 512 gigabyte NVMe M.2 solid state drive, Wi-Fi 6. It's got some decent speakers on it, 16 gigs of RAM. This is very much a workhorse computer. Its normal MSRP is $1,600, and it's $500 off if you buy it through April the 3rd, and it's on sale for $1,100. It's available over at Costco. This is not a web browsing machine. If you're buying this, you can do some serious work with it. Because it's the Intel 11th gen, it's got the new Intel Evo graphics, which Intel's working on their own discrete graphics cards, similar to what NVIDIA and AMD do right now. Intel's working on that themselves, and the 11th gen chips have got some of these discrete graphics cards built into them. They're still on the IHS, but they are much better than the Intel HD of days past. So still an integrated graphics card, but it's come a far way from Intel HD, whatever it used to be. So that's over at Costco. That's $1,099, $1,100. You'll have to obviously pay tax on that.
I'm going to add something about this.
Yeah.
Okay. To be clear, this is not a gaming machine, but if you've ever chosen a smaller factor laptop because you wanted something to be lighter, right? This beast at 17 inches, it has a full-sized keyboard, right? And the reason I'm emphasizing this, it is light as a feather. It is lighter than similar class laptops that are smaller in size, like 11 inch or 13 inch or 14 inch. What they did here is astounding because it also has a battery life that lasts. And the reason I'm raving about it is because I paid more for more than what they're selling it now. I paid $13.99 when we bought this to my son for college, and he's a gamer. Right. And when he realized the benefits of having something like this, light like this, to take to class, it is amazing. And he goes to class and he opens this right in class. It's large. It has a huge footprint, and you open it and he has a full screen to look at with high resolution. So he can put a lot at the screen while working, while doing study. This is a workhorse, as Nick said. I can't recommend this personally enough. This is a great designed laptop. So definitely, if you need a laptop now, even if 1100 looks a bit steeper, compare it to what you'll get. It's for me, it's a no-brainer. So I highly recommend this. Really, I wish they would pay me to say this, but they're not. But it's still a great laptop.
And there you go. That is available over at Costco. All right. So a different animal on this one. This is an HP, more middle of the road laptop that is available over at Staples. It's 15.6 inch, 10th gen Intel i3, 8 gigabytes of RAM. The reason I put it on here is it does have an SSD. So even though it doesn't have the most amazing specs in the world, the fact that it's got the SSD instead of a 1 terabyte spinning drive means this thing's going to be pretty snappy for what it is. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM, so again, manage your expectations with it. But it's a full keyboard with a numpad on the side. Normally $550, on sale for $349. That's 36% off. And looking at it, that's even available here locally at my local Staples. So this is something you could pick up day of if you're in a bind and need a new computer. And finally, we've been talking about Chromebooks. We've talked about Chromebooks time and time. And normally they're crazy expensive, like, I don't know, $400 for a Chromebook. Well, this Asus one is normally $400. It's normally $370, and it's on sale at Best Buy. Now, this is a large computer, so this is not necessarily the best portable computer. But if you're looking for something that's got a little bit more screen real estate, running Chrome OS, you like a bigger computer for browsing the web or whatever it might be, this is a pretty good computer. 4 gigabytes of RAM. It's got a Celeron N4500, 32 gigabyte eMMC. The price is really what you can't beat. $150 for this. Save $220. This deal does end in 14 hours as we're here live. So if you're going to jump on this, you're going to want to do it now. And I believe it is available. It's available in store. I could pick it up today, or you can order it online and get it in the next couple of days. So that's an Asus Chromebook, 17.3 inch, available over at Best Buy. All right, moving on. This is a really neat product. It's a DAC. Now, you probably have never purchased a standalone DAC, but it's a digital to analog converter. But if for some reason you're trying to hook up maybe Bluetooth audio or something to a stereo system that doesn't have Bluetooth or a way to get some of that data in there, you can purchase a DAC. And DACs are typically pretty expensive. This one is normally $500. And if you just search it directly on Amazon, you'll see that it is $250. So it's $50, it's 50% off. But if you click on the link in these specials, there's a sweet deal, a Slick Deals promo code that knocks the price down to just $125. You're talking about a $500 DAC made by DSD and Love Audio, who seems to be very much a reputable brand. It's the #1 bestseller in audio components on Amazon. So all that can be described as a very high quality digital to audio converter. It's got Bluetooth, USB, optical, coax for inputs. And you can power things via RCA out, as well as it's got a headphone jack on it for $125. So if you're in the market for a DAC, a high quality DAC, I don't think you'll find a better price for a better product than this device over at Amazon. Again, don't go directly to Amazon for it. You'll pay an extra $100. Go to Slick Deals and find the special. You'll save $125 on top of the already 50% off savings. So that's over at Amazon. All right.
Nick,
yes, sir.
Can you connect an XLR microphone to this?
No, probably not. I mean, I'm sure you could convert it, but not by default. No.
Okay.
It's also a headphone amp as well, but no, not. It seems like the main use case is Bluetooth for it. High quality Bluetooth DAC. I think that's kind of what the use case for it really is. Moving on to another Costco deal. Here's a more honed in laptop. This is another Asus 14-inch. This one is, though, running an AMD processor, an AMD Ryzen 5. It's a 5500U, which is their fifth generation Ryzen chip. And this is a very powerful computer as well. 16 gigs of RAM, a 512 gigabyte SSD. This is a very powerful computer for the price. Normally $700. You can get it on sale for $500 over at Costco. It is a 10 keyless keyboard. It does not have a numpad on it. It's 14 inches, so it's a little bit smaller, but it does also pack some pretty good power as well with that 16 gigs of RAM. And it's nice that it's got a 0.5 terabyte M.2 solid state drive. It does come with Windows 10 Home. So you will have to do the upgrade to Windows 11 on that. Does not have Wi-Fi 6, but it does have 802.11 AC and Bluetooth. The webcam is not HD. It's a VGA webcam. But you can check that out over at Costco. Normally $700. You can get it on sale for $500. And then maybe you're looking to upgrade an existing computer. Well, a very inexpensive way to do that would be to move to an NVMe internal SSD. This is a 1 terabyte, and I cannot believe how cheap these NVMe drives are. Now, this is a full width one, so you're trying to put this in a laptop. You're going to have to check and make sure that you've got enough space to insert it. They do sell cards that are half this size, but it is a Gen 4 SSD, so it is running on Gen 4. And it's normally $130. It's on sale right now for $95. You save 27% or $35, and that is over at Amazon as well. So a pretty decent price on a reputable 1 terabyte NVMe. You can find cheaper ones, but the brand is going to be different. This is at least a Western Digital Black, at least the WD Black series over at Amazon. And finally, cheap TVs seem to be all the craze. Hisense, which is Walmart, I think it's Walmart's brand. I don't know if they sell it anywhere else. These TVs are freaking phenomenal. I mean, I don't know if this puts LG and Samsung and all of these big manufacturers in a really, really tough situation when you can go to Walmart and pick up a 65-inch Quantum 4K ULED Android Smart TV for $548. This TV is normally $900, and it also comes with a $100 delivery gift card for food delivery service. I believe you get to choose the food delivery service that you want. So it'd be like Uber Eats or Grubhub or something like that. So $548 for the TV plus $100 of food delivery. All right, so you're talking about a $448 television. The offer is for Domino's, Papa John's, DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, and Instacart. So a lot of services where you could spend $100 on food. And again, I don't know how Samsung, LG, and Vizio even try to compete with this. It's such a cheap price for what is this is a really, really good deal on a television available over at Walmart.
They probably
and it's running Android, so you can sideload whatever app you want.
Yeah, and I'm curious on that because normally the Hisense, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't really do that much delving into the OS side of it because normally the Hisense are they're normally running Roku. But in this case, it's running Android TV.
Look, even if the Android on it is crappy as hell, you just stick up some sort of stick or Roku and you get whatever you need, right? So it doesn't really matter. But the fact that it's running Android means you have a lot of flexibility in what you can put there. Because
Precisely.
It's the hacking OS, right? So you get everything.
Yeah, so if you here's a never mind. It's just running traditional Android TV, so it looks like it's a black UI with the Google logo at the top. It's very much using the Google side of Android for that. And again, if you don't like it, buy a $75 Roku Ultra and call it a day. I just could not believe how cheap this thing was.
Yeah.
It almost is tempting me to go out and buy it.
If they give a toaster, I would.
Well, you got $100 gift card. I mean, you can. Why need a toaster if you can get $100 worth of Domino's or Papa John's? I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So yeah, that's over at Walmart. Online, I do not believe they have this in store. At least it doesn't look like they do. But sometimes Walmart's website is a little weird. So check on the app on your phone if you're trying to get this in store, because the app on the phone tends to tell you better whether it's available in store or online. All right, that is specials. I might pick up this TV, no joke.
Thank you.
I think I need a larger TV.
Yeah, you need a larger TV, of course. You spend a lot of time at home.
I don't understand why you're coming at me. What the hell's your problem, man? Why are you coming at me like that?
Why are you so defensive, man?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I have been watching. I have actually been watching. I've been watching Yellowstone, and so when I bought my last TV, which was only about a year ago, and because I'm such a jackass, I decided that I wanted to put it on the TV stand that I had in my apartment, which was actually a desk from Staples, but because it's a desk, it's got an organizer on the right-hand side, and then I've got a tray I've got under it that's got all my game systems, and I wanted to get a TV that would fit on it. So I got the largest TV that I could. It's got feet stand on the side that fit on that desk. But unfortunately, it's just a little too small, I think. So yeah, I might take a look at this if it's available in store. I mean, literally, with the $100 of food, you're talking about $448 for a 65-inch 4K ULED TV. So
yeah, absolutely. No.
Yeah, I don't know why you're attacking me.
And by the way, for the listeners over here about Amnon's toasters, you know how many toasters Amnon has because of that?
A whole bunch.
With the toaster he buys.
Yep.
I can only imagine. Yeah, he's tried giving me coffee makers. I mean, he's tried to give me literally everything known to man. Coffee makers and everything. Gal, I have a question about computers in Israel, but before we do that, I got a call from our friend Amnon yesterday, and he has successfully connected a Z-Wave device to his system.
Yep.
Woo! Come on,
and I'm glad I did not try to do it myself, because Nick had to.
All right. Now, hold on a second. He goes, I'm reading the instructions. There's nothing on here about Z-Wave. And I'm like, well, that's bullshit, because I have the same instructions that you do. I'm like, all right, open up the map, second column all the way down to the bottom. Oh.
Yeah, it's under it's under the warning.
It's under installation. So we set up. So I saw that you had already installed Z-Wave JS and the MQQT. So we added it to his sidebar. We linked the controller in the settings for the MQQT, and it took 15 seconds to pair the device.
Yep.
I think. Yeah, and he's up and running.
Yep.
What did you hook up?
Nothing. I just now that it's working, like you said.
What device?
Oh, it's one of those Smoke CO.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I got 3 of them. And then from your deal that you
sent
talk
about your deal.
I got 4 water sensors, because we have a basement and I have water alarms in different places. But I figured, this way it's better. And I got all the motion, whatever sensors and humidity were sold. So I got I got a one that is 4-in-1. It's got motion.
Oh yeah, the Q sensor.
I don't know which one it was. It's a little
Right.
round thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Q sensor. That's their best sensor.
Okay, so that was available, and it was only $4 more than the other one. I said, yeah, I'm getting this one.
The reason those were sold out is because they don't make them anymore.
Oh.
They make only the Q sensor, so it's fine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they probably just got rid of old stock.
So today I'm going to sit.
Those are a great manufacturer.
Today I'm going to sit.
I just ordered another leak sensor and an open and close sensor for a window, so I can control my HVAC system from opening and closing the window.
Yeah,
they do have a really cool water turn-off system. I really wanted
that is amazing.
System, but I couldn't justify $200 for it.
I saw it. I'm not really sold on it.
No, but it looks cool as hell.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah,
and I can see the application. It's just if it doesn't fit or it doesn't work with mine, doesn't. So it's a system that you hook up on your main. First of all, for me to hook it up, it'll create an ugly bulge that I cannot hide. So
yeah, you don't want an ugly bulge. That's a serious problem.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't matter how you run it, whether it's blue in your mind or just an ugly bulge on the wall. But it's just, I am not totally sold. My specific mains, I know I need to apply a lot of pressure to close it. And I somehow doubt that something that runs on a couple of volts can actually twist that.
Yeah, it's gears. It's gears, but
I know it's gears. But still,
the thing
there's
is
some torque involved. So
let me tell you something. If you have a valve, a water valve that is hard to open and close,
it's not hard, but it requires some force.
Yeah, I had under the house. It was one of those 45 that goes right in the middle of the pipe, and it was plastic. I mean,
a gate valve.
I don't know what you call it, a gate valve.
I'm asking if it was a gate. Was it a circle that you just turned?
No. It was like a butterfly, and you just move it.
It's called a quarter turn.
Yeah, but it's not. It's a different kind of a quarter turn. It's I replaced it with a quarter turn that has a lever on it, and you just move it. The other one, I had to use at times a pair of big channel locks to move it. And I said, nah, this is ridiculous. So I was talking with my friend Greg, and I said, Greg, let's put a regular metal. And this one, you just, with one finger, you move it and up and down, and it works great. So is the valve that you have on a metal pipe, Gal, or on a... Okay, that's okay, because these are on a PEX. And when you try real hard, I mean, you move the whole thing, and I didn't want to have that. So I was just going to say, and this will be really easy for any kind of device to move. You don't.
How much was the shipping from this place?
If you're $99, then it's free. Yeah. That's why I got 4 of them.
So you spent $99. Even the shipping is only $4. So I think I'm
no. Shipping is $8.
$4 for me. UPS first class package.
Probably depends on the amount of packages, but maybe.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I ordered 2 open and closed sensors.
Oh no, mine. I did the 3 in that 4-in-1, and it came to be $93. And I said, "What's the shipping?" And it was $8. So I went and I added another $18 and got it for free. And I said, "Yep, I can always use another water sensor." But we'll see. Today I'm going to sit down and try to figure out how to make the smoke detector send me an email. Not just a notification, but an email, because it goes to both my email and my phone. So I'm going to try and figure that out. But yeah, it's more, and boy, is it loud. Jeez. It's ridiculously loud. Anyway. Yeah, we don't have that link in
Nick
here.
had a question, and then I gotta go. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
You
So
wanted
I
to
asked
know-
you. So you said that you're obviously you're in Israel right now, and you're mentioning computers. And I asked you pre-show, and then we stopped. When you're buying, if here in the U.S., if you're buying a new computer in store, you're going to probably Best Buy, Walmart, Target. You're going to a big box store. There's very little, if any, left. Computer stores. Now there are still computer stores where you can buy pre-built machines that are a little bit more powerful, but for the general consumer, you're buying it at a big box store. What is the situation over in Israel?
So over here in Israel, there are a few chains, basically. There's one that is exclusively in malls. So that will be an equivalent to some sort of GameStop, but for not only for gaming, but for PC and other stuff. It'll include gaming as well. There are at least two chains across the entirety of Israel, KSP and Ivory. They have websites, so you can also do some of the orders online. It usually has to do with the local branch where you're going to pick it up from. There's also some delivery, but there's no Newegg, there's no real Amazon, there's no solution like that. The solutions will always be based on one of these chains or on a local, like for the specific town. There's some established PC store that's still running, and you can get you can do your business there. There is an equivalent to Office Max. Actually, it's Office Depot. It's literally the same chain. I think it's a franchise over here, so it's an Office Depot franchise. So you can definitely do some of your shopping there, but then it will mostly be brand names, not components. So you'll have pre-built machines that you just pick up the shelf. Mostly businesses buy there. I mean, I haven't seen, at least not around Raleigh, I haven't seen a computer store, right? No. Either a website for one or a place where you step in and you discuss with the clerk and with whoever's there. I mean, I know where to find the store to buy screws, and I know where to buy generic hardware. I even seen stores for audio equipment and stuff like that. I haven't seen any stores for PC parts or for PCs in general. Here, it's still very much alive. Those chains are rather large. Some of them have multiple stores in the same town. So, that's how it looks over here.
And then, of course, Amazon, right?
Costs more than the US by at least 50%. The markup is there's a 70% VAT that's added to everything, and there's a markup on importing goods that basically hikes the prices quite a lot. So
with that, is there an Israeli company is there an Israeli computer company that doesn't have to deal with that stuff?
No, not anymore. There were back in the 80s, there were a few that tried, not anymore.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. There's no real manufacturing of electronics within Israel other than military grade stuff.
Gotcha.
Elbit and Raphael and these companies. But everything's imported. China usually, stuff like that. Taiwan.
Okay. And then, of course, you still have Amazon stuff, right? You can still order from Amazon.
Amazon has actually, probably in the past 4 years only, has created some presence in Israel. Okay. As an Israeli, you can have an Amazon Prime subscription. And there are very few items that can be shipped without paying for shipping. And the thing is, if you need to pay for shipping, if it's shipped either from Europe or from the US, then you're looking at, anywhere between $12 to $25 per pound. Okay, so it's very expensive to ship. And with the Amazon Prime subscription they're giving here, there's no 2 days delivery, but you get something like you can get it within a week or something like that, and still, not pay shipping. Mm-hmm. It is becoming a very, 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 very successful offer. Very good offer for at least a few. You don't get. I mean, it's not even close. When you go with the delivery address of Israel, when you go to Amazon.com, you get a fraction of, I guess, like 3% of the content that we get when we search in the US. But it exists, and it's growing stronger. And it is creating competition to local merchants as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, and if Amazon built a distribution center there,
I don't think they have a distribution center.
I know. I'm saying if they build one, then they can offer it really fast shipping, and it will put more pressure on the competitors.
I'm guessing what they did in the past 4 years, right, is what they do anywhere is they gather data of what their Israeli customers are looking for, what they want, and eventually it'll lead to a distribution center. But for now, I'm guessing they're doing good business. They're probably packing up entire containers worth of air delivery. I'm guessing it's air delivery because it's always been in a week, and if it comes, it doesn't matter if it comes from Europe or from the US. You can't do that with sea freight. So,
well, they have their own airline. Airplanes. So they probably bring stuff not just for Israel, but they probably bring it to the Middle East and some other countries around there, and they do it all at once. Yeah. No, they're definitely smart when it comes to that.
Yeah.
All right, you said you had to go, so we don't want to hold you here.
Yeah. Have a great rest of the day and enjoy the new week.
Have a great week, and I hope everything turns out okay.
I hope so too.
Yep.
Okay then.
All right, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Shalom.
Shalom.
This means hello and goodbye, right?
Yep. If you want to say it more like shalom.
Yeah. All right. Shalom, Gal.
Yeah.
Shalom.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later. So, yeah, Gal made a recommendation about running a mem test, and I ran one before I did the BIOS update.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm running another one now, wondering if maybe with the BIOS there's something with that. So I'm running another mem test on the computer to just make sure everything passes again. I'll hopefully have this. So I've got been a lot of political stuff going on the past couple
that
weeks.
Was my point, that you don't have time to do the complete
No, but this computer I'm running it on is this older Lenovo. It's a Lenovo M92P. It's a workstation that I got. Decommissioned workstation.
Mm-hmm.
I do have my old gaming computer, which is an i7, that has been sitting in the closet for since I built this computer, so the last 3 or 4 years. And obviously it's a larger computer, it's going to draw more power, but the problem I've always run into with this Proxmox is I'm just out of the resources are tough. It's a Lenovo computer, it's a Think Center, so it's small. There's only 2 SATA ports on the motherboard. There's there's 4 RAM slots, but it's limited on that. So
now
I can't fit high profile RAM in it. I have to use the small sticks that don't have, it can't use like modern computer memory that's got heat spreaders and stuff,
right,
because they won't fit in the slot. They interfere with the CPU cooler. So what I might do is install that TrueNAS system on my old i7, which used to be my main computer, and then play around with it. And if it seems something good, I could slowly migrate my stuff over. So I might do that, I might not. But I want to fix this problem. I need to fix this problem.
I have a recommendation. You said it's going to use more power. Probably. If you're going to use it just for that, you can change the power supply to.
Changing the power supply doesn't do anything. It's about what it draws. I mean, you can have a 3,000 watt power supply. If your stuff only draws 200 watts, then it only draws 200 watts.
And you don't need all those high profile.
No, I won't put a graphics card. I don't need to put a graphics card in it, so it'll just run off the. So I meant more, but yeah, getting a smaller power supply doesn't mean you use less power. It's the components that are drawing the power. So I might do that. I might not. I want to get this sorted out first, and I think Gal sent me in the right direction with looking at the bootloader. That sounds like that might be my issue at this point. So hopefully I can. I'll have some time today. Hopefully I can figure it out.
All right, here is something interesting. I mean, we always, I get this machine doesn't qualify for Windows 11 on my Xeon and all that. So people found out that they can install it if they get download it and install it, not allowed to do an upgrade. So now Microsoft is pushing ahead with plans to warn Windows 11 users that have installed the operating system on unsupported hardware. In a new update to Windows 11, a watermark has appeared on the desktop wallpaper for unsupported systems, alongside a similar warning in the landing page of the Settings app. Microsoft had been testing these changes last month, but they're now rolling out the release preview just ahead of a full release of all Windows 11 users in the coming days. While Microsoft doesn't mention the addition of the watermark, it is improvements list for this update. Testers have noticed it's included. If Windows 11 is running on unsupported hardware, a new desktop watermark will state system requirements not met. Go to settings to learn more. I don't understand. Why are they putting it? What do they want me to do? Buy a new computer?
Yeah, this is the stupidest shit Microsoft's ever done. So it's the same kind of message if you're running a non-registered version of Windows. In the bottom right-hand corner, it'll say like activate Windows, right?
Yeah.
We've all seen that. You may have seen that. This is the same thing, but unlike activating Windows, which you can actually go and do, right? By purchasing a license, you can't do anything.
There's nothing you can do.
There is a registry tweak to get rid of this, but I have no idea why Microsoft would want to include this as a watermark. It seems incredibly stupid.
It is. It's useless.
It is completely useless.
I mean, I know it's not supported because I installed it because you did not want to upgrade my, I don't know.
Not a clue why Microsoft is doing this.
Microsoft.
Well, I can here. I've got a picture of it. Let's see. So there it is. That's what the error message looks like. Similar to the activation thing. System requirement not met. Go to settings to learn more. And you can't get rid of it.
Amazing.
Yeah, very stupid.
Yep.
Well, and so we actually, for some reason, we talked about this on Infection on Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know who this is really going to hurt is you've got computers that do digital menus at restaurants and movie theaters. Those are probably running not up to snuff hardware,
right?
But they might upgrade them to Windows 11. And now they're like McDonald's, Regal movie theaters. So many places have gone to digital signage for their menus. Those are all just computers displaying an output. How are they going to handle this? Because now you're going to have a little stupid watermark at the bottom of every single screen that's going to tell you the system isn't up to compatibility. It doesn't need to be because it's just running a digital signage program.
It's almost like they're doing it to shame you.
But again, it's not shame that you can fix.
Yeah.
I have no idea what Microsoft is thinking.
All right, talking about infection and gaming, Sony is preparing to introduce a new video game subscriptions service for the PlayStation as early as this week.
Yeah,
that's from Bloomberg. You know about
it. They're trying to compete with Microsoft's, which, by the way, Microsoft has absolutely taken over the game streaming / game subscription service. It's called Game Pass or Xbox Game Pass on the Xbox, and it's called PC Game Pass on the PC. You pay a monthly subscription to get access to it, and you have the ability to. It's no different than Amazon Prime Video or Netflix, where you're paying a subscription fee to get access to a game. It's a revolving door. There's games that come on and off of the Game Pass. And Microsoft has really owned this market, and Sony has been very far behind. And now they are going to try and compete, and it will be interesting to see if they can, because Microsoft service is very inexpensive for what you get, and Sony is up to now offered literally nothing to try and compete. And at some point, they're going to have to try and compete, and this might be it.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes for them. Now, something else, a piece of software that many of us used in the past. Kaspersky.
The old Russian AV.
Yeah, the U.S.-placed internet security provider A.O. Kaspersky Lab on a list of companies deemed a threat to national security for the first time, adding a Russian entity to a list dominated by Chinese telecommunications firms. It's since the war started and a little bit before that, when all the troop movement, Kaspersky tried to sound like they were against all this and they were no for the people and all that stuff. But there was one story that didn't go really big, but the fact that the Kremlin is telling them what to do. And I guess this is why this is coming up. So if you're using anything from Kaspersky, be aware. It's not simple stuff.
Well, it could be, and I assume what they're worried about. And obviously, some of this is just U.S. propaganda.
It may be.
Everybody else's. Yeah, we claim everybody else is these big propagandists. The U.S. is one of the biggest propagandists in the world.
Yeah.
But the situation I'm sure that they're afraid of is that Kaspersky is mandated by the Kremlin or by somebody else to put some sort of update out that would allow a Russian botnet or something like that could be detrimental to U.S. data and U.S.
Mhm.
security. So I'm sure that's the concern.
Hey, remember last week we were talking about Netflix is starting to enforce
Don't show your
the
password.
password. There's a story here that says if Netflix follows through with its test to charge an additional fee to users sharing passwords, it could rake in 1.6 billion in global revenue annually, according to a new Wall Street analysis. So, do you think they're going to do it or not?
Well, I think that they're going to try and do it. I don't
Yeah.
know if it will be.
If it'll
I don't know
work.
if it will be effective.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they're going to enforce it. But yeah, I mean, for sure, this is it's lost revenue. You could say that, but it might also not be lost revenue because if you're sharing somebody's, like if I'm sharing Amnon's Netflix account and they add a fee to it, the question is, will I go out and buy my own subscription? I assume most people's answer will be no.
Right.
So while they can say, all right, that would be some revenue, it all depends on how many of those sales they can convert. And I'm not sure they'll convert, I'm not sure they'll convert as many as they think.
It's going to be a low percentage.
It might be, but it might be a high percentage too. I don't know, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what the conversion rate's going to be and how they are going to enforce it.
YouTube is the latest company to offer free shows TV with ads. The video giant says you'll now be able to stream nearly 4,000 episodes of TV for free, as long as you're also willing to watch ads during the show. Shows available include Hell's Kitchen, Andromeda, Heartland, and you'll be able to watch them in the US on the web, mobile devices, and most connected TVs via the YouTube TV app. With the new free TV shows, YouTube is taking on a number of major competitors. One is over-the-air television. By offering free TV on demand, YouTube is likely hoping that you'll see what's available on its platform instead of channel surfing to see what else might be on. And there are already many options for streaming ad-supported TV for free, which include Tubi, Zumo, Plex, Roku, and Vizio, and Samsung. YouTube is late to the game, but we'll see what happens there. They're not just late to the game, they're also the most expensive. So, but Google always managed to succeed with everything that they do. Well, maybe not everything. Let's see what else here. Oh, here's something mainly for businesses. Authentication service provider Okta is investigating a report of a digital breach, they said last Tuesday, after hackers posted screenshots showing what they claim was an internal company environment. A hack of Okta would have major consequences because thousands of other companies rely on the San Francisco-based firm to manage access to their own networks and applications. The company was aware of the reports and was investigating, they said. So this is another thing from that Lapsus hack. Need to if I'm sure system administrator and companies know about this. There's another thing about authentication. I don't know. I never used it, and it's interesting though. Hundreds of thousands of sites use the OAuth protocol to let visitors log in using their existing accounts with companies like Google, Facebook, or Apple, instead of having to create an account on a new site. Visitors can use an account that they already have, and the magic of OAuth does the rest. The browser in a browser, they call it BitB, technique capitalizes on the scheme. Instead of opening a genuine second browser window that's connected to the site facilitating the login or payment, they use a series of HTML and cascading style sheets tricks to convincingly spoof the second window. The URL that appears there can show a valid address, complete with a padlock and HTTPS prefix. The layout and behavior of the window appears identical to the real thing. While the method is convincing, it has a few weaknesses that should give savvy visitors a foolproof way to detect that something is amiss. Genuine OAuth or payment windows are in fact separate browser instances that are distinct from the primary page. That means a user can resize them and move anywhere on the monitor, including outside the primary window. BitB windows, by contrast, aren't a separate browser instance at all. Instead, they are images rendered by custom HTML and CSS and contained in the primary window. That means the fake pages can't be resized, fully maximized, or dragged outside the primary window. All users should protect their accounts with two-factor authentication. One other thing more experienced user can do is right-click on the pop-up page and choose Inspect. If the window is a BitB spawn, its URL will be hard-coded into the HTML. So it's sort of like it's a problem, but do you ever use it? Or do you have I mean, you go somewhere and it says log in with Facebook, log in with Google, log in with.
It depends. Typically not.
Right.
I'm sure I have. I'm positive that I have. From a standard process, no. If it allows me to create an account, I always will. I just prefer to have it that way. And since I have a password manager, then creating an account really doesn't cause any problems.
Right. Say. Yeah, that's what I was, And did you hear that Defender tags Office updates as ransomware? It says Windows admins were hit today by a wave of Microsoft Defender for endpoint false positives where Office updates were tagged as malicious in alerts pointing to ransomware behavior detected on their systems. It happens. Zelle. This is from last week's story. Zelle, the payment platform used by millions of customers, is a popular target of scammers. But banks have been reluctant to make fraud victims whole, despite owning the system. Consumers love payment apps like Zelle because they're free, fast, and convenient. It was created in 2017 by America's largest banks to enable instant digital money transfers. Zelle comes embedded in banking apps and is now by far the country's most widely used money transfer service. Last year, people sent $490 billion through Zelle, compared with $230 billion through Venmo. Zelle immediacy has also made it a favorite of fraudsters. Other types of bank transfer or transaction involving payment cards typically take at least a day to clear, but once crooks scare or trick victims into handing over money via Zelle, they can siphon away thousands of dollars in seconds. There's no way for customers, and in many cases, the banks themselves, to retrieve the money. Again, this is an article. I have not heard from anybody who uses payments on the web that something like this happened to them, but it's something to think about.
It is very I know my bank offers Zelle as a payment option. It's becoming very, very popular to use.
Huh.
Your bank probably does too. You'd be surprised.
Maybe they were saying that a lot of banks are using it in their apps and even, yeah. All right.
Yeah, and it's a way to, transfer money without dealing with processing fees. If you're
Right.
pay versus a credit card versus it's the equivalent of writing a digital check. That's kind of how I see it.
And really, I mean, to end today's show, cybersecurity is becoming a really, really popular and needed service. And if your kid is going to school for computer science, and tell them to go for it, because everybody's looking for it, and it's going to get even more in demand as time goes on. I'm not going to get into the article, but all over the world, they're looking for experts in cybersecurity. Okay. So, anything else, Nick?
No, sir. After we get off here, I'm gonna
Work on your
crack down on that and hopefully have a solution. I will likely have a solution one way or the other before next week.
Yeah, and John is saying, I use Zelle to send money to family and repairmen. Well, and
Yep.
Alan is saying, that is why I use vouchers. I buy at the market. All right. All right. Well, thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
It was good. A lot of information. I'm sure a lot of people did not find it very interesting, but one of these days it'll come back.
Yeah, well, as you know, the show has evolved and adapted a lot over the last couple of years, and this is one of the things that's got it's got a lot of really cool use cases.
Absolutely.
But of course, it's not. I think it's important to bring this stuff up because we only talk about, oh, it's so great, it's all this. There are still problems. At the end of the day, it's still technology.
Absolutely.
And problems still arise, and this is a problem, and just figure out how to get past it.
Yep. And hopefully you'll solve your problem today.
That's fingers
Hopefully.
crossed. That's what I'm hoping.
Hopefully.
Sir.
All right. And Alan is asking, anyone in Canada can email, he's saying it can email money by Interac. Okay. I mean, you can send money through a lot of different outlets. This was one article about Zelle.
Yeah.
All right.
Very easy to do it.
Nick, thanks again. And
Thank you.
Thanks to Gal. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Dina, Arlette and Micha, Eleanor, Sarid. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Remember again, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., Nick is on Wilmington 980 The Wave and 107.9 FM with his daily news show. You can listen to it anywhere by telling your Echo device, play 980 The Wave. You can always go to his website, nickcraig.com, and listen to all the recordings of past shows. And on Tuesday, 7 p.m., Nick and Brian do the Infection podcast on Twitch. That's for survival games and gaming news. So 7 p.m., just go to twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. And we'll see you next week. Have a great, great week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.